My girlfriend framed my 11-year-old sister for something she didn't do, just to make her look bad. And that's when I realized the woman I loved was capable of cruelty I didn't think existed. 21, never thought I'd have to choose between the girl I loved and the little sister who needed me. But last Saturday, Helen 22F made that choice easy. 4 months ago, I became my sister Lila's 11F legal guardian. And it's been the hardest, most rewarding thing I've ever done. My mum's a meth addict. My dad died when I was 15. And when I got discharged from the military 7 months in, bad knee injury, I came home to find Lila living in a nightmare. My mum's house was a revolving door of strangers, drugs and chaos. Lila was skipping school to avoid it, losing weight, and too scared to sleep alone. She begged me to take her, and I did. I bribed my mom to sign custody papers, paid her car note. Per my lawyer's advice, ratting her out to CPS would have put Lila in foster care first, and my mom would have faked sobriety to get her back. Rented a small house near Lila's school, and got a steady job with the city. For the first time in years, Lila started smiling again. Straight A's, soccer practice, sleepovers with friends. We were healing, until Helen's resentment turned into cruelty. Helen and I had been together a year when Lila moved in. I'd warned Helen it would be a big change, that Lila needed stability more than anything, and she'd nodded, said, "I get it." But her actions told a different story. At first, it was little things, sighing when Lila asked to watch a Disney movie instead of our usual shows, forgetting to buy Lila's favorite yogurt at the grocery store, making comments like, "She's so quiet, you sure she's okay?" Then it escalated to the chores. Lila has basic chores: clean her room, wipe down her bathroom, make her bed, vacuum the living room, and help with dishes. She also does extra chores, fold laundry, water the plants, to earn money for movies or frozen yogurt with friends. But for weeks, Helen kept telling me Lila was slacking. I had to clean her bathroom again. She said she did it, but it was disgusting, Helen would say. I made her bed this morning. She left it a mess and ran out to play. I was furious with Lila. I grounded her, cancelled her playdates, lectured her about responsibility. But Lila kept denying it quietly, scared to argue. "I did clean it, Jax," she'd mumble. "Helen's lying." I thought she was being defensive, a kid avoiding trouble. I told her to stop lying and own up, and her little shoulders would slump. Now I realize how much that hurt her, how she must have felt like no one believed her, like the one person who was supposed to protect her was taking the side of someone who hated her. Looking back, the signs were everywhere. I'd come home from work to find Lila sitting on the porch, staring at the street, while Helen cleaned Lila's mess inside. I'd ask Lila why she wasn't playing, and she'd say, "Helen said I had to wait for you." Helen would chime in, "She didn't finish her chores. She doesn't get to play until they're done." But when I checked, the chores were done. Helen just insisted Lila did them wrong and redid them. Lila started pulling away, stopped talking about her day, stopped asking me to tuck her in. I thought it was just adjustment jitters. I was wrong. Helen was slowly isolating her, making her feel unwanted, and I was too blind to see it, too busy working, too busy trying to keep my life together, too busy loving Helen to notice she was hurting my sister. Last Saturday was the breaking point. I went grocery shopping after work, picked up Lila's favorite snacks, cheese sticks, chocolate milk, her beloved Frugos mix, and told her to put them away while I ran back to the store, forgot Helen's favorite coffee creamer, and I was still trying to keep the peace. I grabbed my toolbox from the shed, had to return it to my friend Ray, who's like an uncle to me, and called Ray to let him know I was on my way. I was standing in the backyard, phone pressed to my ear, when I glanced through the kitchen window. I watched Lila carefully put away every item, stacking the cereal boxes in the pantry, organizing the produce in the fridge, folding the bread wrapper neatly. She even wiped down the counter when she was done, then grabbed her soccer bag and ran out the door. Her friend's mum was picking her up for a birthday party. I stayed on the phone with Ray for 10 more minutes, laughing about old army stories. Then I saw Helen pull into the driveway. She walked into the kitchen, looked around, and froze. For a second, I thought she was just checking. Then she smiled, a cold, sharp smile I'd never seen before. She opened the fridge, pulled out all the produce Lila had just put away, and stuffed it back into the grocery bags. She did the same with the pantry items: cereal, pasta, snacks, yanking them off the shelves and piling them on the counter. She even crumpled the bread wrapper, like Lila had left it messy. I stood there, dumbfounded, unable to process what I was seeing. This wasn't a mistake. This was intentional. This was malice. I told Ray I'd be late, hung up, and drove to his house in a daze. I was in denial. Helen loved me, right? She wouldn't do this to a kid. She wouldn't lie to me like that. But 45 minutes later, my phone rang. It was Helen, her voice tight with fake frustration. "Jax, where are you?" Lila left all the groceries out. They're everywhere. She just ran off to her party without putting anything away. I've been cleaning up after her for hours, and it's so frustrating. You need to talk to her. She's so irresponsible, and you're too easy on her. That's when the daze broke. The anger hit, hot, fierce, unrelenting. I told Ray what happened, and he, a 50-something veteran who's seen his share of shit, said, "You break up with that girl tonight. She's toxic, and she's using your sister as a pawn. You don't choose her over Lila, not after everything that kid's been through." I drove home with my hands shaking. When I walked in, Helen was putting away the groceries and slowly, dramatically, like she was doing me a huge favor. The kitchen counter was covered in crumpled bags and scattered food, just like she'd staged it. "Finally," she said, looking up. "I've been at this for ages. Lila really needs to learn." "Cut the shit, Helen," I said. My voice was low, dangerous. She froze, the cereal box in her hand slipping to the counter. "What?" "I saw you," I said. "I was in the backyard. I watched Lila put away every single thing. I watched you pull it all out. I watched you frame her." Helen's face turned white, then red. Then she started crying, ugly fake tears. "Jax, that's not what happened." "I'll save it," I said. "Why? Why would you do that?" "She's 11. She's been through hell. Why would you want to get her in trouble?" She stopped crying, her face hardening. "Because she's a burden, Jax. This isn't what I signed up for. We were supposed to be us, going out, traveling, building a life. Now it's all Lila this and Lila that. She's always here, always in the way. I thought if you saw how irresponsible she is, you'd realize she doesn't belong here. Maybe send her back to your mom or to a foster home." I felt sick. "Send her back? To my mom's house? To the drugs and the strangers and the chaos? Are you out of your mind?" "She's not my problem," Helen yelled. "I didn't ask to be a mom to a kid who's not mine. You're 21, Jax. You shouldn't be tied down with a sister. We could be free." "Free?" I laughed, a bitter sound. "Lila's my family. She's the only family I have that's not broken. You knew that when we started dating. You knew I was going to take care of her. I thought you'd get over it." She screamed. "I thought you'd realize she's ruining our relationship. But you're too busy playing dad to see it." That's when I saw her, really saw her. Not the girl who laughed at my jokes, who held my hand when my knee hurt, who said she loved me. The girl who could look at an 11-year-old who'd lost everything and see nothing but an inconvenience. The girl who'd lie, manipulate, and hurt a child to get what she wanted. "Get out," I said. My voice was calm, but I meant it with every fiber of my being. "Pack your stuff and get out. I don't want to see you again." Helen stared at me, shocked. "You're breaking up with me over this?" "Over a kid. Over you being a cruel, selfish person," I said. "Over you trying to hurt my sister. Over you lying to me for weeks. Yeah, I'm breaking up with you, and if you ever come near Lila again, I'll get a restraining order. Don't test me." She started begging, pleading, apologizing, saying she'd change. "I was just scared, Jax. I was scared of losing you. I'll be better for Lila, for us. Please don't do this." But I'd heard enough. I walked into the guest room where she stayed, grabbed her duffel bag and threw it on the couch. I said, "Get out now." She grabbed her bag, tears streaming down her face, and slammed the door on her way out. I stood in the empty living room, my chest heaving, and then I heard it, quiet sobbing from Lila's bedroom. I knocked softly. "Lila, can I come in?" The door creaked open. She was sitting on her bed, hugging her favorite teddy bear, a beat-up rabbit named Thumper, which our dad gave her, her face red from crying. "You believe me now?" she whispered. I knelt down in front of her, took her small hands in mine, and felt my throat tighten. "I'm so sorry, Lila. I'm so sorry I didn't believe you before. I'm sorry I let her hurt you. That's on me, and I'll never let it happen again." She threw her arms around my neck, sobbing into my shoulder. "She was mean, Jax, all the time. She'd tell me I couldn't eat snacks because I didn't deserve them. She'd turn off the TV when I was watching my shows and say you wanted to watch something else. She'd tell my friends I couldn't come to their houses because I had chores, even when I was done. I didn't want to make you mad, so I didn't tell you. My heart broke. Helen hadn't just framed her. She'd been emotionally abusing her for months, and I'd been too blind to see it. The next few days were messy. I took Lila to Frugos, her favorite frozen yogurt spot, and apologized again, properly this time. I told her she could always tell me anything, no matter what, and that her feelings mattered more than anything. She smiled through her ice cream, texted her friends to gloat that Helen's gone forever, and asked if we could get pizza for dinner. It was small, but it felt like a win. Then Helen's dad called, yelling, screaming, calling me an asshole for turning on his daughter over a spoiled brat. I told him what Helen did, and he laughed. Kids lie, boy. Helen's a good girl. You're just too busy coddling that sister of yours to see it. I hung up and blocked his number. Helen texted me that night threatening to tell everyone what a terrible boyfriend you are, but I just blocked her too. I didn't care. Let her talk. The only person whose opinion mattered was Lila's. On Wednesday, I took Lila to the park to kick the soccer ball around, something we'd stopped doing when Helen moved in. Because Helen hated sports. We sat on a bench, watching kids run around, and Lila opened up. She told me about the nights at my mom's house when I was in the military, how she'd hide in the closet when my mom's boyfriends yelled, how she'd go to bed hungry because there was no food, how she'd call me crying and hang up before I could answer because she didn't want to bother me. She told me she'd waited months for me to come get her, scared I'd forget about her. She told me she thought Helen hated her because I'm not pretty enough or I'm too quiet. I held her as she cried, and I told her the truth. I hadn't been ready when she first called. I'd been partying every weekend, wasting my paycheck on beer and friends, living like I didn't have a sister who needed me. It wasn't until the cops showed up at my mom's house looking for her boyfriend that I snapped out of it, started saving money, and fought for custody. "I'm sorry I made you wait," I said. "I'm sorry I wasn't there when you needed me most." She hugged me tight. "You're here now," she said. "That's all that mattered. We've been rebuilding ever since." I found Lila a child development counselor, married to her math teacher's cousin, who's doing it pro bono until I switch her insurance, and she had her first session last week. She's nervous, but she said, "It's nice to talk to someone who gets it. I've been more intentional. We have dinner together every night. I ask her about her day, really ask not just how was school, and we have sibling nights every Friday, pizza, movies, board games, no phones. I've also doubled down on her custody. My lawyer says the papers are ironclad, but I'm keeping extra copies just in case my mom decides to sober up and change her mind. I still pay her car note occasionally, but I've set boundaries. No unsupervised visits, no calls after 8 p.m., no talking about drugs or her boyfriends around Lila. Helen tried one last time to contact me. She showed up at my work last week begging to talk. I told security to escort her out. She yelled that I'd regret it, that I'd never find anyone who loved me as much as she did. But I already have someone who loves me, Lila. And I love her more than any girlfriend, any job, any future I could have had with Helen. She's my priority, my reason, my family. So am I the asshole for breaking up with Helen? Not a chance. She framed an 11-year-old girl, emotionally abused her, and lied to me for months. She chose cruelty over kindness, selfishness over family. I did the only thing a good brother could do. I protected my sister. And I'd do it again in a heartbeat. People have told me I'm too young to give up on dating, that I'll find someone else someday. Maybe I will. When Lila's in college, when she's stable, when she doesn't need me as much. But right now I'm exactly where I need to be. Lila's grades are still perfect. She's the star of her soccer team. And she laughs again, real laughs, not the forced ones she gave when Helen was around. We're healing together. And that's more than enough. Last night we were sitting on the couch, watching Lila's favorite Disney movie, Frozen, on repeat. And she leaned over and said, "I'm glad it's just us, Jax." I put my arm around her, kissed the top of her head and said, "Me too. Lila, me too." Helen was a mistake, a painful one, but one that taught me a valuable lesson. Family isn't blood, it's the people who choose you, who protect you, who love you unconditionally. And Lila's my family, always.